And I'm joined by James Emmanuel, Vice President of Carbon website cantorco2e.com. James, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
Fascinating debate leading up to Copenhagen, and a lot of the debate has focused on those leaked emails at the University of East Anglia, researchers allegedly exchanging comments about topics such as withholding data from critics to discredit their work. What did you make of all this?
Well, I mean, to be honest, the debate is all about whether anthropogenic greenhouse gas emissions have caused the global warming that we're now experiencing. Ultimately, what you think, what I think, doesn't really matter. What's important is that the governments of 192 nations believe that it's serious and believe that man, at least in part, has contributed to the problem, hence the meeting at the moment in Copenhagen.
There's three aims, as our man in Copenhagen was telling us earlier, and the first of those aims is, quite a simple one. Can countries agree to halt the growth of emissions within 10 years? Can we get some sort of agreement on that?
Well, a binding agreement now looks very unlikely. However, the Kyoto Protocol breaks down the countries that will be attending the meeting into two groups. You have the big industrialized polluters, known as Annex 1, and then you have the rest of the world, known as non-Annex 1. Now, as amongst the big polluters, America are rather hamstrung in that the Senate haven't approved the legislation. Barack Obama has suggested a 17% cut in American emissions from 2005 baseline until 2020. Many would argue that's not enough. The rest of the world is using 1990 as a baseline. The EU have committed to a 20% cut from 1990 levels, which will increase to 30% if the rest of the world agree to take ambitious targets. Japan, under the new administration, have recently taken on a 25% target by 2020. If you look at the American target, which is 17% from 2005 levels, that actually equates to only 4% relative to 1990, to put things in perspective.
What about giving money to developed nations to deal with global warming? 10 billion a year by 2012. This could prove a contentious issue, couldn't it? I
think the whole summit will turn on the issue of money. Frankly, if you look at the Stern report, which was published in 2006, commissioned by Tony Blair, then Prime Minister of the UK, Lord Stern found that the cost of tackling global warming would be approximately 1% of global GDP. That finding has subsequently been supported by a number of bodies, a McKinsey report, the Energy Agency, etc. Now, if I were to say to you that you could become 1% richer by polluting the atmosphere to the extent that tens of millions of lives would be placed at risk, would you be prepared to take that environmental risk for the sake of being 1% better off? Surely not. That's all this conference turns on.
James, thanks very much for joining us today. James Emmanuel there, Commercial Director at cantorco2e.com.